Channel 10, WPLG, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. From Channel 10, this is Eyewitness News at 5, South Florida's #1 5 o'clock news, with Ann Bishop, Dwight Lauderdale, meteorologist Dawn Noe with weather, and the Channel 10 Eyewitness News team.
Her Majesty the Queen arrives at the Port of Miami for a gala evening aboard, followed by a crowd of onlookers and a South Florida cloudburst. Good evening. Topping our first news at 5, the royal red carpet rolled out in Miami for the visit of Queen Elizabeth. Just before 2 this afternoon, a chartered Concorde carrying the royal entourage touched down at Miami International Airport, and at the stroke of 2, Her Majesty and Prince Philip emerged from the jet. She was welcomed to the Sunshine State by Governor Lawton Chiles and Miami Mayor Xavier Suarez.
There was no real ceremony to greet the Queen at the airport, but she was on a tight schedule. From the airport, she traveled by motorcade to Booker T. Washington Middle School in Overtown for an assembly. Eyewitness News reporter Bertha Coombs Sague tells us for these students, meeting the Queen was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
As she pulled into Booker T. Washington Middle School, Queen Elizabeth was informally met by those who wanted to catch a glimpse of history and protesters who hoped to make some history of their own.
We are trying to let the city know that they spent money for the Queen, and which maybe she deserves. But we think our King, Mandela, deserves the same type of protocol, nothing less.
Inside the school, weeks of preparation for the Queen's visit paid off. Performances and the tour going off without a hitch. But if you ask students she talked to, like young Marcos Moreira, it wasn't without anxious moments.
I was thinking like I was in the space. I only see only the Queen, nobody, only the Queen.
Mireya Rivera was thinking she was standing next to someone she'd read about in history books.
I am emotional right now.
After their visit to the classroom, they headed outside, where the band got a chance to shine. Principal John Williams says his students should be proud of themselves today. They performed well, and he thinks the Queen was impressed.
But I know she was pleased. I was told from the other people that was the first time they saw her really smile when the band started playing.
By now, the whole world knows about the gaps in protocol that happened during the Queen's visit in Washington. Since this school visit went so flawlessly, it's not likely to make international headlines. But for these young students, it made an impression to last a lifetime. In Miami, I'm Bertha Coombs Sague, Channel 10 Eyewitness News.
The tour continued from Booker T. Washington Middle School. The Queen traveled by motorcade down Brickell Avenue to Vizcaya. There, the Queen was presented gifts representative of South Florida. Joining us now from Vizcaya, Eyewitness News reporter Art Carlson. Art?
Good evening, Dwight. The Queen arrived here fully a half hour, almost a half hour ahead of schedule, and the time she spent here at Vizcaya was less than half an hour. But in that time, she packed an awful lot of touring and an awful lot of conversation into it. Now, the gifts that she was given were not formally given, except from the children that you see here from the Miami Children's Hospital. 2 of the miracle children, Kristen Shriver and Ryan Zergat, gave her and Prince Philip 5 Miami Children's Hospital wristwatches that she will then take back to her 5 grandchildren. She also received a basket of fruit, some photographs, posters, xerographs, and some paintings. Unfortunately, the formal presentation that was to have taken place out here on the terrace was cut short because of what you just saw. Rain, a thunderstorm. The only thunderstorm that was evidenced at all during that time came rolling in right off Biscayne Bay, across Key Biscayne, and right into where the Queen was. It only lasted a few moments. It cleared out. She said hello to students from Coconut Grove Elementary, got on the royal barge, and departed. About 28 minutes here at Vizcaya, all totaled. Dwight? After she left, what did the people around you have to say? Well, there was an air of euphoria after that. It was interesting. There was also an air of euphoria. It was like, oh, my goodness, I've met the Queen, and it was wonderful, all the way to, was it a dream? Was it really real? I mean, there was so much activity going on for so long, and all of a sudden she was here, and then she was gone, and we're back to where we were. Did everyone get to see her who showed up? I know that you mentioned that the weather cut it a bit short as far as the festivities, but did everyone get to see her? Absolutely. There was no question to that. The meetings inside went very, very well. She met elected officials, businessmen, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the children from Miami Children's and the Miami Project. She came outside. There were about 200 people waiting under an awning out here. They came out. They were not formally introduced, but she did mingle with the crowd and said hello to them. And then as she went on to the students at Coconut Grove Elementary, that was the interesting part. She took almost almost more time there than she did anywhere else. She spoke to the students, took an interest in them. They asked her questions and she responded, and then got on the barge and went off. We'll have some of the sound bites from the students coming up at 6 o'clock.
A moment they, I'm sure, won't soon forget. Thank you, Art Carlson, for that live update from Vizcaya. Ann?
The Queen's departure from Vizcaya came early, more than an hour ahead of schedule. Because of that rain, it did cut short the festivities. She traveled from Vizcaya via royal barge to her yacht Britannia, docked at the port of Miami. Eyewitness News reporter Terri Merryman joins us from the port where the Queen arrived. I guess it was about an hour ago, wasn't it, Terri?
It's lovely out here, Anne. I'm having a little bit trouble hearing you, however. The Queen of England and the Duke of Edinburgh have arrived here at their home away from home, the royal yacht, the Britannia. The Queen and, of course, the Duke of Edinburgh boarded the royal barge, which is really a 40-foot launch, at Vizcaya. She was accompanied, of course, by 35 of her entourage, and the barge made its way along South Bayshore Drive, Bicentennial Park. It was one of the few chances that Miami has had of seeing Her Majesty if they were to look very, very closely. Of course, as you mentioned, they were trying to outrun that bad weather that was headed this way. A 21-gun salute from the Ambuscade, a boat that was, of course, sent here to guard the Britannia, signaled the Queen was about to board the Britannia. Now, once on board, she will rest and repair for her dinner, her big night ahead. That dinner, of course, includes a list of 60 dignitaries, a private black tie affair. Among the dignitaries, former Presidents Reagan and Ford. That guest list has not been released by the British consulate. However, we are still awaiting that guest list to find out exactly who's going. Now, following the dinner, a reception with about 200 of Miami's who's who. That list is yet to be released also. However, we do have some hints that various congressmen, senators, etc. will be on board, and we'll have that list for you a little bit later. The Queen has had a very, very busy day. She has an exciting evening ahead, and we're planning on telling you about all of that coming up on Eyewitness News at 5:30 as we'll report live here from the port. And Dwight, back to you.
All right, Terri, thanks for that live report from the port of Miami.
From Channel 10, this is Eyewitness News at 11. South Florida's #1 late news with Ann Bishop, Dwight Lauderdale, Dawn Noe with weather, Frank Fort with sports, and the Channel 10 Eyewitness News team.
South Florida's date with the Queen will soon end when she sets sail after a day filled with royal receptions and some uninvited rain. Good evening. It's been a whirlwind day for Queen Elizabeth II since her entourage arrived in Miami 9 hours ago. Tonight, an exclusive invitation-only affair on board the Britannia brought out some big names. Lots of gifts were handed out at a tour of Vizcaya, but a thunderstorm was not supposed to be one of them. And a real-life lesson from the history books as a Miami middle school meets the monarch.
Now the details. The guest list numbered just 40, making it truly an honor to dine with the Queen and Prince Philip aboard the Britannia tonight. Eyewitness News reporter Terri Merryman has been at the port of Miami all day and all night. She joins us now with the latest. Terri?
Good evening, Dwight. The Her Majesty's yacht, the Britannia, is expected to leave within the hour, ending an unforgettable day here in Miami. And as the VIPs are leaving behind me, they're watching fireworks. I'm sure they're remembering an enchanted evening. The rain cleared just in time for a parade of dignitaries. And what a parade it was, of politicians, past and present. Former President Reagan and his wife Nancy were joined by another former president, Gerald Ford, and his wife Betty. Florida's political leaders were well represented too. Governor Lawton Chiles, Senator Bob Graham, Miami Mayor Xavier Suarez, and Metro-Dade Mayor Steve Clark were among the select few. Miami Archbishop Edward McCarthy was aboard for a special evening with the Queen. Before dinner, there was time for a group photo with the Queen, who wore a pink, form-fitting dress. We're not allowed to take pictures of the Queen eating. That's against Her Majesty's rules. We do know that everyone dined on lamb, lobster, carrots, potatoes, and lemon souffle for dessert. Ronald and Nancy Reagan were the first guests to leave after dinner. The former first couple departed as an additional 200 guests arrived. Now they're invited to join the Queen at a special reception. Her Majesty then made an appearance on the stern of the ship as a royal ceremony was performed. Now, that was the Royal Marine Band. They're embarked for all major tours, and they play Beat Retreat. That's kind of a musical signal for the guests to leave the boat. But I guarantee you the guests are slowing down in their exit as they watch the fireworks coming from the area of Bayside. And it's very loud and very beautiful, and once again, a very exciting evening. the governor didn't retreat without leaving some of Florida's special gifts. He gave the Queen Valencia oranges, red grapefruit, conch shell, orange blossom honey, and marmalade. And I'm sure she took with her some happy memories of our state as well. Right, Ann?
Sure she did, Terry. What's going on right now? Is it all over for the evening?
It's all over. We're waiting for the ship to leave. And once again, as I mentioned, the fireworks are grabbing the attention of those as they exit the ship.
Terri, Merryman, thank you for the live updates all day and all night from the Port of Miami. And if you've been able to catch a glimpse of the Queen, then you've been one of the lucky ones. It was no different tonight at Bayside in downtown Miami, where royal watchers were pulling out all the stops. Eyewitness News reporter Louis Aguirre spent the night among them. Louis.
Dwight, Miami is definitely shining tonight in honor of Her Majesty. Nearly every building here in downtown Miami is lit up. If you can take a look behind me, take a look at the SunTrust Tower, all red, white, and blue, the colors of the British flag. Again, all this in honor of Her Majesty, the Queen. The Queen's visit to our city created much commotion and fanfare all day long, but the excitement never really seemed to die down, not even now.
Miami's fascination with the royal visit continued on into the evening hours. All alongside the docks of Bayside Marketplace, dozens stood by, some with binoculars, hoping to sneak a peek at the Queen and her VIP guests.
Excited, really. Honored for Miami.
This is the first time you've seen the Queen?
Yes, it is.
What'd you think?
Well, I think she's a great lady.
Did you see anything?
Little, not too much. Because I can see the Queen, but the photo is too far away.
Well, for those that wanted a closer look, this sightseeing boat was only too happy to oblige. For a small price, anyway.
How close were you able to get? Why don't you go ahead?
Oh, you see the boat out there, the patrol boat out there? We were about that far away.
But your passengers enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah, they had telephoto lens. They got right in with the telephoto lens.
We just went on a boat trip, but she was out having tea or something, you know. She was not available for us, but we waved when we went by.
We call upon the Queen of England to speak up for justice.
But others had a different agenda and took advantage of the Queen's visit to get a message across, protesting on Biscayne Boulevard against the 21 years of British presence in Northern Ireland.
But in spite of that small group of protesters, the majority of the people here tonight here at Bayside wish the Queen a warm welcome and a pleasant stay while here in Miami. Soon, though, they'll be saying goodbye to this special visitor as she sets sail for the Keys aboard her yacht, the Britannia. Dwight?
Louis Aguirre, thank you for that live update from downtown Miami. Ann?
The Queen's Day began in the nation's capital, where she wrapped up her three-day visit. Elizabeth II flew out on board the supersonic Concorde, arriving here right on schedule and beginning a whirlwind tour through Miami that took only hours but had taken months to prepare. The royal couple's chartered Concorde touched down about 2 this afternoon at Miami International Airport. Following the official welcome from Governor Lawton Childs, Miami Mayor Xavier Suarez, and other dignitaries, the Queen and Prince Philip headed for Booker T. Washington Middle School for what appeared to be the most enjoyable event of the day.
For the towering pines, and I sing of the life that I see.
After the musical tribute, it was on to Vizcaya, where a host of dignitaries waited to meet Queen Elizabeth. One of Florida's first ladies, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, was one of those who got to chat with the Queen, where the conversation probably dealt with the environment. Youngsters showered her with gifts, and it was apparent at any age those near Her Royal Highness were enamored with Her Majesty's visit.
Very down-to-earth lady, Art. Very, easygoing. She seemed to want to handle all her own accoutrements. You know, she's holding on to her umbrella. She didn't seem troubled by the unevenness of the floor here, of the ground, and just very taken in. She loved the palace and she loved the kids.
I said hi, and I think she was nice.
I said hello, Queen, and I asked her how much she was worth, but she didn't answer.
While everything went as planned, a surprise guest did put a little damper on the royal parade as Mother Nature showed the Queen what a South Florida thunderstorm is all about. Tomorrow, the Queen will spend the day at Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas before a private weekend in the Keys. And on Monday, she heads to Tampa, where she'll knight General Norman Schwarzkopf. While the Queen has not been to South Florida before, she has often been in the Bahamas. In 1977, she came to Nassau to open Parliament for the first time since the island had gained independence. I remember reporting from the airport as the Queen began her official visit to the country that had once been a part of the British Empire. Dwight Lauderdale was also there to report that momentous occasion. We both look a little younger, but then so did the Queen at that time. You didn't have to wear a hat.
Well, right, but remember
Or
they gave
gloves.
us instructions on how to greet the Queen? Remember that?
Remember they said
Aboard
don't
the
use
Britannia?
ma'am every time she gets a little crazy with all that ma'am.
I remember that. It's almost
We
like it
got-
was yesterday. That was 16 years ago nearly.
We got rum swizzles, but we didn't get dinner or lunch.
At 9 o'clock in the morning aboard the Britannia.
Rum swizzle will wake you right up.